I first started out working on my social skills. As I mentioned, that was the one area of life, among many, but the main one, where I really experienced so much anxiety and, again, couldn't speak up at all.
Okay. What up? Hi. Wait, let me get in Zoom. This is Julien. Just Julien. Holy shit, I can't do this, man.
A very simple habit all of you can incorporate, no matter what you do, by the way, is every day talk to 3 new people. Right? There's nothing really blocking you from doing that apart from your own anxiety and fear. Doesn't have to be long conversations, but all of you can talk to 3 new people a day. Just a simple habit like that will have huge impacts on your life. However, this is also how self-help gets you. We then make it very complex. Oh, but I don't want the little simple tip. I want to understand all the nuances first. Sure, understand the nuances, but start there. You're not going to mentally get there. Action is involved. Experience is involved. So fortunately, I got that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start talking to people. I'm going to start talking to strangers. And I went out. I went to the nearest town, which I had to walk 30 minutes to a train station, then take a 10-minute train and went to it was a city. It was like 10,000, no, not 10,000. This was like 120,000 people. So I went to this city, and I told myself, very motivated, I'm going to ask someone for the time. How hard could that be? Or I'm going to buy a newspaper, and when the person gives me the newspaper, I'm going to say, nice weather, isn't it? Pretty easy, no? No? Couldn't do it. Froze. And I'd be the creepy guy who would be like staring at the newsstand and like, get the newspaper. And I'd be like, no. And then I'd walk around and come back 20 minutes later and just kind of staring at the newsstand. And probably the person who's working there is like, what the fuck's that guy doing? And just keep staring and just like, and it's not like the comfortable staring, like it was like that, like what the fuck? I then gave up on the newsstand. I'm like, that's way too scary. Just ask someone for the time. For real, by the way. I was like, just ask someone for the time. And I thought, okay, well, who's the easiest person to ask for the time? An old person. What are they going to do? Right? So I'd be walking down the street, scanning through, looking for old people. I made sure I didn't have a watch or anything. I'm like, just ask them for the time. And they'd walk by, and as soon as they get close, I'm sure a lot of you can relate, you're like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And right when it comes time, and then they walk by. And then how do you feel after that? Yeah, completely deflated. Just like, oh, that was terrible. And then you self-attack, and that little voice is like, I told you. And you're just like, you did. You suck, and you should have been aborted. Like, I know. But I was persistent. So what did I do? As soon as they'd pass, I would turn around and follow them. And I'd follow them into stores, like department stores and stuff. I'd be staring through the aisles and just couldn't ask. The staff probably looked at me very weird, like, why is he following that old man? It was a few weeks, if not a couple months of this, of me going out, looking for people to ask for the time and unable to do it. That is the level of social anxiety that I had. And having coached, as I mentioned, over 10,000 people face-to-face, millions if you count online, but face-to-face, I've only met few who were worse than me. I was very bad. People refuse to see this. They're like, oh no, look at you. You're loud and you're extroverted. No, I'm very introverted. If you follow the whole Myers-Briggs, I'm an INTJ at a core. I was not meant to be this type of person. That was not the route that I was given. And I'm saying this, why? To show you that it is possible to change. Not just a little, completely. And this is something you must truly believe deep down inside. If you don't, you're not going to truly change. You can even write it down as a rule. You will only change to the degree in which you believe you can. You believe you can change 10%, you'll change 10%. That's it. No matter how much effort you put in. You believe you can change 100%, then you can as well. The limitations are really in your mind. They are self-imposed. And the more you can look for proof and examples of people who might have been far worse than you and completely changed, and the more you make that part of your reality, the better.
Like using a shtick versus just being yourself. Be yourself, move things forward, and being yourself, integrity, instead of using the shtick and moving things forward. So still having your boundaries.
Instead of giving up, although even back then I spent many nights crying myself in my pillow, and even thinking back, like, why didn't I say hi? The self-attack was rampant. I kept on going. But I put my ego to the side and I realized I did not have what it took. And this is a big one. Don't get cocky and don't think that you are the exception. You are the majority. Meaning, I sat there and I said, you know what? I'm just not brave enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough to do it on my own. And I told myself this. And a lot of you are in that same boat. You cannot do it on your own. You simply don't have what it takes. Now, what does PC self-help say? That's not true. Every human being has infinite potential. You are a seed from the universe and being, and you can infinite. No. A lot of you don't have what it takes, but that's okay, as long as you are honest with yourself and aware of it. Don't keep putting your head down and just keep trying to figure out on your own. If you could figure it out on your own, you would have by now, and you wouldn't be here. So I took that hit. I was like, you know what? I simply don't have what it takes. Doesn't mean it's over. It simply means I need to adjust my strategy. I need to think, okay, well, if I can't do it on my own, I better ask for help. And that is what I did. How did I do that? I went online and I found other people in my area who also were working on their social skills. And I said, hey, let's go out and work on it together. I did not mention I was too scared to do it on my own. But I said, hey, let's go work on it together. It'd be great. And I met up with a few people. I met up with 3 people. I remember vividly the experience. So scared showing up at that meeting. It was 3 strangers who you met online. Nowadays, it's like, in 2006, that was a big deal. In 2006, people you meet online, the rep was not good. If you would have said, hey, there's this dating thing online, like a Tinder, everyone's like, oh, like, so I went out there. It's like I told my friend, if I don't come back, you know why. And we met in front of this church on the church steps, and I was a bit early, and I was like, oh man, and then finally met these people. And the first thing I realized is, I'm like, well, if there are people who are working on their social skills, they must be way more confident than me, way cooler, better step it up. And they showed up, and I was like, they're just regular folk. What? I'm even cooler than that person. What? Blew my mind. What did it reinforce? No one's cut from a different cloth. What one person can do, another person can do. If that person can do it, I can do it. So it actually gave me a little boost of confidence, self-confidence. A little voice inside, instead of being like, should have been aborted, saying, there's 1% chance you shouldn't have been aborted. I'll take it. So I met up with these people, and we split up in groups of 2, and they're like, okay, let's start talking to people. And I went with one, and I was like, and he's like, hey, do you want to say hi to that person? I was like, oh man, can you do it first? I mean, I would, but can you do it first? So he went and said hi. And I just kind of watched from a distance. Didn't even go in to say hi to the people either. I was just kind of like the creep in the background. And then we kept on going. I kept saying, hey, you do it, you do it. I just don't feel like it yet. And 2 hours passed, and we were finally going back to the church to meet up with the other 2 and just kind of hang out and wrap it up. And on the way back, I saw 2 people walking, and I'm like, this is it. And that was the first time I took action and said hi to a stranger. What got me to take action, what do you think it was? It was the accountability of other people where I did not want to look stupid in front of them. Meaning, me by myself, I was too scared to look stupid in front of a stranger. And if it's just you with yourself, it's very easy to put it off till the next day. You're like, well, if I don't take action, who's going to know but me? It'll be our little secret, and then go back. Now, if there's other people, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I met this person. There's strangers. There's someone I spent 2 hours with. Whose opinion do I care about the most? I would rather have a stranger think, that guy's a little weird, and him be like, oh, he took action, versus not taking action and going back to the group and being the only person who didn't take action. So the seesaw of motivation tipped, and that finally got me to take action. And as soon as that ended, I was on cloud 9. And I remember the feeling to this day. It was one of the most high peak states I've experienced, where I was just like, I am invincible. If I can say hi for 30 seconds, I can conquer the world. So I thought. And we went back, and I remember, I'm like, I'm just going to keep riding this wave of positive momentum. And I kept at it. And I'd go out with these same people, and we'd start taking more action. And with every bit of action, I would congratulate myself and celebrate that win. And this is another big one. Collect every little win. Have big goals, but collect wins. Because what you'll notice is by default, we tend to zone in on failures. Like all of you here, I'm like, what are your biggest regrets and failures? Easy to remember. Even growing up, guess what? At school, you come back with an A here. You're like, here's an A. What do your parents say? That's right. Come back with an F. What happens? What? There's way more charge and energy around failures. So immediately, failures stand out more than success. So you're going to have to train your focus to start, one, noticing wins. Every day, collect at least 50 wins. 50. Meaning, to do this, you're going to have to lower the bar. What's a win? Getting up in the morning. You didn't have to get out of bed, you did. Yes! Brushing your teeth. You didn't have to, you did. Yes! The more you're, yes, yes! Hey, even collecting the wins, that habit, that's a win in of itself. Yes! Me here on stage saying, yes, that's a win. Yes! That there will motivate you like crazy. That's how you ride that wave. Don't compare yourself to, oh, but it could have been more than 30 seconds, because that's what we do. Oh, it was only 30 seconds. Could have been better. Audit your go-to after a success. Is it to immediately criticize and say it could have been better, downplay it, or are you just taking it? Yep, 30 seconds. It's how I roll. Done. I have big goals, but I'm going to collect them along the way. That leads to success. And that leads to you enjoying the process versus experiencing the process as this chore that you must tolerate to get to the finish line. And fortunately, I had that. And it allowed me to take a lot of action, to the point where I became the person in that little group who took the most action out of all of them. And just by taking action, that gave me an unfair advantage where other people in that same self-help world, other people working on social anxiety confidence, they wanted to hang out with me. Why? Is it because I was better than them at socializing? Yes or no? No. There were people who were much better. I actually, at the time, I was hanging out with and met one of the top, he was even a teacher when it comes to social skills confidence in France. All these people literally just wanted to hang out with me because I was the only one taking a ton of action. And usually, you'll see this if you try to go the ego route of improving your social skills, you'll get some success, but then you'll want to maintain that image. And then you'll take less action and you'll start playing not to lose, because then if you take action and you don't come off as cool, then what are people going to think of your reputation? So all those people took less and less action, the better they got. And when they're around someone who's taking a ton of action, it's really refreshing. And you want that to rub off on you. So they take a lot of action too. So it'd be this beautiful balance where I wasn't that good by taking a lot of action. They were very good but didn't take action. And then it would inspire them to take more action, and I'd be learning from them in the process. And that's how I started cultivating my social skills. It was in Switzerland to begin with. And I got to an averagey level. Compared to where I was at, it was night and day. Friends, even family, could not recognize me. And I also developed a really, you could say, solid foundation of just self-confidence. It was still depending on a lot of accountability and hustle and discipline, but it was better than what I had before, which was zero self-confidence. And this gave me the confidence that, hey, if I could handle all these crazy social interactions, a lot of chaos, a lot of unpredictability, and I can figure it out and come out okay, then what else can I handle in life? And it got me to reflect back on the whole direction I was going in. And this is what allowed me ultimately to move to Los Angeles. And the movie, actually, that gave me the final little nudge to do this was I saw this movie based on a book called Into the Wild. Great movie. Watch it if you haven't, or even read the book. And the whole plot is this guy who just goes into the wild. He's like, hey, you know what? Screw society, screw this. I'm just going to wing it on my own. And I was like, you could do that? And for me, it kind of just shattered the whole matrix I was living in. I'm like, wait a minute. You can withdraw from the matrix? What? I'm going to LA. So I moved to LA. I got a summer job before moving in Switzerland where I worked on a garbage truck. Got some money and moved to LA, told my parents, my family. No one was happy. They're like, you leave this door, never come back again. You're disowned, etc. We're on great terms now, but temporarily it was terrible and traumatic. But I also see where they were coming from. So I book a flight and I land in LA. I have my guitar, my suitcase, and like $5,000. That was it. Didn't know where I was going to stay. I rented a motel in Hollywood. It was in the wrong neighborhood where I walked out and it was like hookers everywhere and just really dangerous. And I was like, well, here I am. Let's make something of it. It put me in a situation where there is no comfort blanket. In Switzerland, guess what? Even if I completely fail, there's the comfort blanket of, oh, well, there's my comfort zone and just back to university and back to my job and da-da-da. Oh, here if I fail, I run out of money, I'm out with the hookers on the street. And then I'm in San Francisco with the hookers. that was the alternative. So what did it do? It lit a fire under my ass. I'm like, well, I better take action. And all of you here, you better audit. How strong is that fire? Is it burning? Because it better burn. The alternative to you succeeding better be terrible failure and death. Now, I'm making it very dramatic, but it should feel that way. That's how it felt for me. I was like, well, if I don't make it, I'm homeless and I die, and I'm okay with that. So it lit massive motivation to take action, and I started hustling it out in Los Angeles. Started getting, minimum wage jobs. I worked at the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, which is like a Starbucks. I was like a barista there. I worked at Lucky Brand Jeans, a clothing store. I then worked for a couple months at, if that, maybe even less, at a really sketchy car warranty phone call center that somehow this person got me, like for real, it's like you're calling like, do you want to buy a car warranty? And it was really bad, and I think later on that place got shut down. So I bounced, I'm like, screw this. Then worked 2 months selling cars at a Honda in Hollywood. Then worked a couple months doing internet marketing back in the day, promoting like weird, like it was little ads on dating websites where I'm like, hey, if you're 50 plus, I got the website for you. Like all this like weird stuff, like odd paying jobs. I went through, living, the first place I found after that motel was a guy's living room from an ad on Craigslist. So this is, back in the day, I mean, Craigslist is always sketchy, but back in the day sketchy. I'm like, hey, can I stay there? Moved into this guy's place. This guy later overdosed and we had to revive him. There's a whole crazy experience. So I moved there and then even had to share the living room there with this Bulgarian bodybuilder guy. So we're both sleeping on blow-up mattresses in the living room. There's the guy in the bedroom. It's a 1-bedroom in Hollywood, and that's where I was staying. Then moved to another guy on Craigslist living room. So a lot of Craigslist. Then went homeless. Lived with a friend in his basement room where there was like a lot of cockroaches everywhere. You might have heard that story. Where I'd wake up one morning out of 2, if not 2 out of 3, and there were cockroaches on me, like under the sheets. It was infested, and he wouldn't have someone come to spray it out because he had dogs and he was working and he'd have to get the dogs out of the house for a day or 2, and he couldn't do that. So he's like, it's just cockroaches, man. So I stayed there, and I was sick at the time too. I mean, went through hell and back. But I was sick and I couldn't sleep, and I remember I was like editing at night, and there was one night I forgot to turn off my computer, and the cockroaches laid eggs in the USB ports, and little baby cockroaches were coming out of the computer. Yeah, I mean, I went through that. I went through, a few nights sleeping and living in my car, crashing with any friend I had. So, been through the ringer. But for me, once more, what kept me going? The alternative is death. That fire kept burning. And I still had that trust that came from socializing that, hey, keep on bringing it, I'll find a way. There are many times where I thought of giving up, though. Many times where my ego kicked in. Many times where I doubted myself. Times where I even messed up. But I kept getting back on and going. And that's a big one, too. You're going to fall off, all of you. Multiple times. What people do is when they fall off, they start freaking out and they make a big deal out of it. People who succeed, they also fall off. But they don't make a big deal out of it. They just get back on. Versus, oh, what does it mean? What does it say about me? It's like, just get back on. That's it. You don't have the luxury to just cry. Just go. Keep back on. You don't have the luxury to take a break. Back on. So I did that. And then eventually I started helping out my friend Owen. And I met him in Hollywood. I'd known of him before. And he's like, hey, I'm looking for someone to travel and kind of help out with different live events. And I was like, well, I have nothing else going for me. I'd love to. And it was a series of interviews. And on the final one, he's like, okay, you got the job, but the person who, we need someone who has a car. Right? The person who's going to help out, they better have a car. Do you have a car? Did I have a car? Yes or no?
No.
No, I had like $300 in my bank account. How am I even going to buy or afford a car? Like, I was making around $800 a month, and I was living off that. Sometimes $1,000 if it was on the high end. So I was like, yes, I do. He's like, great. I'll see you in 3 days. Pick me up. So I told him yes. And then, what did that do? Understanding this whole concept of put yourself in a situation that lights that fire under your ass. Now I had 3 days to find a fucking car. Now most people would say no. Most people would also be like, oh, I only have 300, can't afford a car, sorry. Not me. And this is what you must realize. There are, yes, famous saying, an infinite amount of opportunities in life. That is true. But at the same time, there aren't. Meaning, even if you look back at your life here today, some of the things that went well, guaranteed you can identify some special, just can't believe that happened moment. And if you didn't jump at it, things would have been completely different. So there are these very few life-changing opportunities that will come into your life. This is also why it's very important to audit every decision that you make. On a daily basis, how many decisions do you make? Hundreds, thousands. But none of those change your life. Identify the ones where it's like, hey, this decision here could mean I end up here or there. And I identified it. And I was like, you know what? I'll find a way. And if I don't, and I don't come up with a car, then I lose it. But at least I'm not losing it off the bat. So I did that. I put myself in that situation. Now I had 3 days. We also call this, like if there's a fence, you throw your hat on the other side. Now you have to climb the fence, get your hat. No choice. Now you're in that situation where success has to happen. So what did I do? Went back on Craigslist. And I found this cheap used car that would eventually was a lemon, and it would die at every stoplight. It was terrible, and that's what I would drive. And I think it was around $1,500 or so. No, $1,600. $1,650. And it was this old Honda Civic, 93 Honda Civic EX, if I remember. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I found this car, $1,650. I can afford this maybe if I call family members and find a way for them to lend me money. So I called my grandmother, and she's cool with it now. I told her I got a promotion at work. I lied to her, okay? I lied to my grandmother and got the money. Is that what you want to hear? I lied. I lied straight to her face, and I said, I need $2,000. Please. And she sent it. And I literally was able to buy that car. It was actually a little late. We had to push it back. But I eventually got the car with the transfer time. And I showed up, and that's how I got the job. And then things went from there. But a lot of my success, guess what? It was those little situations there. What do most people do? Oh, I don't have the money. I'd call my family, I'd call every friend, like even little $5 here and there, I'd find a way. Because it was a big deal. And you must also audit here, how much of a big deal is your success for you? Right? It's the whole like get out of jail situation. Right? I'm not going to go too graphic into this one, but say right now you were in jail and bail was $2,000. Would you find the money? Yes or no? Yeah. Say bail was doing that thing you're scared of doing. Would you do it? Yep. Yeah, because it's a big deal. The question though is, why are you not as much of a big deal? Why don't you treat yourself as importantly as if, hey, it's either I do this or I'm in jail. And the more you can create this for you, which we're going to talk about, you can artificially create this. You don't have to wait for it to happen. You can create situations that light that fire. If you harness them and use them to your advantage, it helps tremendously. Okay? So I went through that, right? And again, what happened after that? I was now $2,000 in debt. Well, $1,700 in debt because I had $300 in my bank account. So $1,700 in debt, but it got me one foot in the door in a situation that unlocks more opportunities. And this is also important. There's levels of success, and there's situations that unlock more levels of success, but there's always a price of admission. If you're scared, you're like, oh, I don't want to put the $2,000. Oh, no. And you're trying to save your pennies. That is keeping your little comfort zone alive. Be smart about this. Don't be dumb. But there's situations where you take a temporary loss, like an investment, for a later on bigger payout. And you got to resist that instant gratification or the fear of like the instant loss. You got to think more long term. I'm like, sure, I'm now $2,000 in debt, but guess what? Now that I'm traveling around helping out, there are many opportunities that open up to me that wouldn't have been there otherwise. There's always risk. And this is the other big one too. If you're like, that sounds a little scary. There's also risk to not going $2,000 in debt. That is far riskier. No. What's riskier than taking action, not taking action? What would happen if I didn't do that? I'd be here out on the street whoring myself out. Okay? So that got me in this situation. Then, even traveling around when I first started teaching on my own, that was extremely scary for me. I remember going to Europe, and I was like, it was in Amsterdam, and I was like, I couldn't sleep the night before. All these situations where I put myself in them. Oftentimes, before you fully feel comfortable, that's also part of it. Don't wait to feel completely comfortable, because part of that comfort will come from having experienced it, comes from taking action, and things started growing. So I'm going to share with you some of the key things I learned from all of that. And if you look at my whole journey, it goes, this is really what I describe as part one of it, going from like, 0 to moving up, traveling, accomplishing a certain amount of things. But as I talked about before, for those of you who have accomplished success, I then, this is a few years later, 2014, fell into the trap of not enjoying that success. Feeling even like an imposter inside. A lot of people feel that, imposter syndrome. You can't let it land, you're not enjoying it. Then there's the stress of losing it. If you're not enjoying it too, and this is a big trap people fall into when it comes to success, is you think, say you're at the bottom, if I have X amount of money, I'll be happy. If I have X amount of approval, I'll be happy. If I have X amount of friends, I'll be happy. And then you get all that, and what happens? It didn't work. But now you're still not happy, and you're looking around, and there's no reason for it, because you have all those things you thought would make you happy. So if you're at the bottom, you can feel better about not being happy, because you don't have the money and the approval and the travel, et cetera, et cetera. But say you get those things, it robs you of your excuses. And then that there started freaking me out, where, again, 2014, I was 26 at the time. And I felt at the time, for a guy in his 20s, like I had everything in the world. At the time, I was traveling around, speaking in front of big crowds, literally all around the world. Every single week, I'm in like a new country, doing multiple events. Had more money than I could spend, especially with all the travel. Just had my suitcase, that's all I owned, and all this money. Had amazing friendships, doing something that I loved, amazing relationships. So everything was great. Internally, guess what? I still felt miserable. Could even express myself, socially could talk to anyone, yet internally there was still that little void, the same void that I had prior to 2006. Nothing had truly changed underneath the surface. And that started freaking me out. I'm like, well, what else then? What else? I guess more. And I started doubling down on validation. I started putting crazy content out to provoke crazy reactions. I'm like, maybe the crazier the reaction at some point, that will complete me. And it didn't. And then I went through this whole worldwide media scandal. So it's not just, and I'm saying this to also illustrate, it's not just this smooth upward journey. You're going to go through ups and downs, crazy times. And guess what? Now through the whole media scandal, lost everything. I lost over $500,000. I was now in debt again, back to ground zero. Except this time I was like, 100,000 or so in debt. For real, this is like early 2015. I still had videos out and stuff. I even launched a product. While recording that product, I was completely broke, and all I was eating was canned vegetables, like little peas and stuff, like out of a can. That was my diet, because I couldn't afford anything else. But what did I have? One, the confidence that, hey, if I did it once, I can do it again. And more importantly, that taught me much deeper lessons. And this tends to be the route of success. You first try to optimize everything. You try to become. I need to become enough. I need to become confident. I need to get this. So it's this whole optimize. And in a way, you're still running away from you. I'm not good enough. Better, more. Doesn't lead to true fulfillment, happiness, and it creates a lot of self-sabotage. And I always felt too, like if I stop putting in all this energy and effort, I'm going to lose it all. So I was fighting against something. Through that experience, it opened me up to much deeper you could say more real and raw levels of self-help, where it's not about becoming, it's about realizing. It's not about optimizing, it's about letting go. It's not about fighting self-sabotage. I call this the what now mindset. I'm scared, what now? I'm nervous, what now? I'm not taking action, what now? That's loser talk. Change every time you say what now to why. I'm scared, why? Where does this come from? Let go of it. I don't feel good enough, why? Let go of that. Oh, I'm not taking action. Why am I procrastinating? Let go of that. And suddenly, taking action and success was a lot easier. Still a lot of work, but it didn't feel like this heavy, hard work. I started enjoying the process. I started feeling much more authentic, much more whole, not like an imposter, and everything changed. And going through that was the most life-changing experience, where if I had to pay that price again or forget all those lessons, I would definitely pay it again for those lessons. It was a whole blessing in disguise. Terrible at the time, verge of suicide terrible, but life-changing lessons that came from it. The big ones are, in life there are two games that are being played. One is an outward in game. The other is an inward out game. First part of my self-help journey was all outward in. Meaning, if I get approval, if all of you like me, maybe then I can finally like myself. If I get all this proof, maybe that'll change how I feel inside. If I accomplish success, maybe I'll feel whole within. And you realize that doesn't work. That doesn't mean don't go for external success. That is very important as well, but you can't be doing it from this place of anything out here is going to change what's going on deep in here. That does not work. It produces temporary change, doesn't stick, and it's not the change you enjoy, and it's not the change you truly want. The shift was, what about inside out? And it all comes down to, once more, wherever you go, there you are. How do I change that there you are part? Right? You can think of it as, say this is you at a core, that experience of you. This is your personality. This is your life situation. People think that by having more money, more friends, moving, having a family, getting in better shape, traveling, so on and so forth, that might change how they feel inside. It doesn't. Then as you go deeper, you're like, well, maybe if I read books and watch self-help videos and courses, will that change how I feel? No, because this comes first. Don't confuse cause and effect. It doesn't matter what environment you put yourself in or what happens on the external. Doesn't matter what books you read, it's still the same you experiencing it all. Wherever you go, there you are. So I'm like, I optimized all this, yet it was still the same me that didn't feel good enough, that didn't feel whole, experiencing it all, and that's why nothing changed. That's why if I sat down and did nothing, it would all start bubbling up inside and I have to quickly distract myself. That's another good test. How much time can you just spend alone doing nothing? Most people can't even do it, even at a restaurant. Say you're with someone, they go to the bathroom, what's the first thing you do? Phone. Can't be alone with me, phone. To the point where now people feel completely naked and weird going out without their phone. Try it. Try going out once without your phone, without hiding right into it. Even, by the way, if you're someone who's scared of socializing, your biggest enemy is your phone going out. Say you go out alone, you're like, I want to talk to some people. Option one is you talk to some people. Option two is you can always retreat to your phone. If you don't take your phone, you're going to have to talk to people. Why? Because otherwise you're just the creepy person, just like, why is that person not looking at their phone? What are they doing? You're like, whoa, better say hi to someone. There's another situation where you can light that fire under you to take action. You can only appear, you could say, normal on your own. Of course you can without your phone, but for the most part, it's easier to appear cool on your own if you're just looking at your phone versus if you don't have it. Stop going out with it. See what happens. If you're someone who struggles with that initial anxiety. So that changed it. I'm like, none of this changed this. How do I get to this first? Instead of fiddling around with the effects, how do I actually get to the cause? How do I change this experience of me? And then this leads to the next key one, which is, okay, inside out game, inside out. It also, once more, not the what now. This is all the what now. The why. How do I change this? And then you realize that there are different strategies. There's the optimizing strategy. First part of my self-help journey. I don't feel good enough. I must become good enough. With the action, success, every single bit, every reference builds up this staircase to me being good enough and feeling whole. Does that work? Yes or no? Yes? No? Nope. Nope. Not even before. And even if you do manage to accomplish what you think is good enough, like I said, internally you feel like an imposter, and there's always the fear of losing it, and eventually you do lose it. It's not sustainable. Can you become good enough? Yes or no?
No. You can only be good enough to lead.
Yeah. The answer is no. You cannot become good enough. Why?
You're already good enough.
Okay, but why can't you become good enough?
Because wherever you go, you're there.
Because if you become it, just shows that you're not good enough to start with.
Yes. If it's something that you can become, it means that without that thing that allows you to become it, at a core you aren't. If I'm positive, then I'm good enough. Well, that means if you aren't positive, you're not good enough. That means you're not good enough without being positive. So the only way to be good enough is for it to depend on nothing. If it depends on something, then you're not good enough without that thing. Make sense? So this here is endless. That's why people are always just chasing it, and nothing's ever good enough. There is another approach, which is very toxic, which is instead of trying to move up, you're like, well, I'm not good enough. I'm going to make everyone else not good enough too. And then people try to bring people down to their level to feel better about it. Terrible. So instead of this, what now? I'm not good enough. What now? I started asking myself, why? Why do I assume I'm down here? What has convinced me that I'm not good enough? What if I am good enough? But simply throughout my life, throughout social conditioning, throughout different experiences, that belief that I'm not good enough and everything that comes with it got implanted in me. What if I started identifying all the different things that are convincing me I'm down here? And when you let go of this, you realize core confidence. You realize you were good enough to begin with under the surface. And that's why you hear me talk about letting go. It's not about hustling your way up. It's about letting go of what's in the way. Because none of you were born not feeling good enough. None of you came out of your mother and just been, I'm not good enough. None of you. Something happened. Social conditioning, trauma, something every single human experiences, by the way. Because trauma depends on how you experience it. A kid lost in the grocery store, that's traumatic. Oh, but it's just the grocery store. Yeah, for the kid, that's the world. Being mocked in class, that's traumatic. Feels like life and death. We all go through it. It's part of being human. Everyone experiences trauma. However, no one teaches us how to process that trauma. We're just taught, stuff it down, keep going, come on, keep going. Put a smile on that face, let's go. Hustle. No. So then it comes down to auditing all the stuff that have convinced you you're down here and start getting to work. And that's what I didn't do. I was just going from, it is what it is, compensate. It was this compensating route. I'm not good enough, but if I get all this success, all this validation, maybe it'll even it out. It doesn't matter how much you're compensating, you're still compensating. So that was the other big one. The third one is that when it comes to the things that are convincing you that you aren't good enough, some you might be aware of them, but a lot of them are placed out of your awareness. And this is where you must educate yourself on the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and realize that there are two worlds inside of you. One that you're aware of, and one that you aren't aware of. For example, right now, you're probably just aware of me talking here, right? You're not aware of breathing. That happens unconsciously, and that's good. If you had to be aware of that at the same time and everything, your head would explode. So The fact that there are two worlds is actually very good. If I were to ask you, what did you eat for breakfast? Now you're aware of it, but you weren't a second ago. Where was that? It was in that world that's out of your awareness. Conscious, subconscious. You could even say 10%, 90%. Now, all the stuff that have convinced us we aren't good enough, they're not necessarily pleasant things, are they? They're not things that we like bringing our awareness to, are they? Especially, say, past traumatic experiences, it's stuff that we quickly disown. But because they did happen, they are an experience that we went through, they don't go anywhere. What do? We banish anything we label as unacceptable all the way down here. Out of your awareness, at the very bottom of your subconscious, under more and more layers of resistance. This is what is affecting your self-worth. And then you hear stuff like, well, you got to let go of it. And you're like, okay, well, what is it? What do I let go of? What's down there? Well, what's down there? I don't know. Only you know that. And guess what? You probably don't even know that because of the resistance. And there's this famous saying, which if you don't know it, write it down. There's what you know, right? There's what you know in life. There's what you know about yourself. There's what you know you don't know. There are many things, like, do you know how to make a computer? Any of you? Maybe someone's like, well, actually, it's every. Yes, I do. Apart from those of you who do, you know that you don't know how to make a computer. It's still in the known. Okay? But then there's stuff you don't know you don't know. That's the gold. There's what you know, there's what you don't know, there's what you don't know you don't know. That. And only you can realize what is down there. But you can't go at it directly because you'll just encounter resistance. Those were the three foundational blocks to everything that came after that and everything that I teach here today.